Welcome back to today's Connection Point. Today we're in Matthew chapter 24, verses 15 through 31. And I actually have my daughter for my co-host. Her name is Trinity.
Hey.
And we are going to talk about the future. And so I have an envelope with the word future written on here. I'm planning on asking my kids this question. If the answers to your future questions about your future were in this envelope, and we could just reach in there and pull them out, what would be some of the questions you might ask? And so that's the question I'll ask Trinity today. What would be some questions you might ask about your future?
Probably who I'm going to marry, or if I'm going to get married, and how many kids I'll have.
Okay, those are good questions. Maybe you have a morbid child who's going to ask a question like when they're going to die, or maybe even a super spiritual child who might ask a question like...
when is Jesus coming back?
Yeah, like when is Jesus coming back? And those are all good questions, but that's actually what Jesus is talking about today. He's talking about the future. And what we know about Jesus is that he knows all things. And God knows everything. He knows everything in the past. He knows everything in the future. He's omniscient. He knows everything. And so, although we don't have the answers in this envelope, God has the answers to the future in this book. And there are portions of Scripture that are written about our future, my future and your future, and other people's future. And so that's what we call prophecy. And that's what Jesus is talking about. He's talking about some prophecy today about a specific period of time for a specific set of people. And so we talk about the tribulation. The tribulation are 7 years of suffering that we believe that those who trust Jesus now, Trinity, will not be a part of. So we'll already be removed from this period, but this will be 7 years, 3.5 years that were pretty bad, but then 3.5 years, the second 3.5 years that are really, really bad. And that's actually what Jesus is going to cover here. He actually starts and says, hey, this second 3.5 years is going to start with an event. And the event is the abomination of desolation. It's when the Antichrist, who's been a world leader, sets himself up in the temple to be worshipped. And Jesus actually says, hey, when this happens, y'all need to run. You need to get your stuff, pick it up, head for the hills. Don't go home. Just get out of there, because the type of tribulation that's going to be experienced here is going to be the worst suffering that's ever taken place on earth. The sun and the moon will be blotted out. Stars will fall from the sky. In fact, everyone will have died unless God cuts it short. And he actually says this: the only reason people will not all die and be annihilated is because he will cut it short for the sake of those who have trusted him during this period of time. It is a serious period of time. It's a tough thing to even read about and to think that people are going to go through this. But during this time, there'll also be false teachers who are saying that they're the Messiah. And Jesus says, hey, don't worry. You won't mistake me. When I come, I'm not coming in a classroom or in an auditorium to teach. I'm coming in the sky, and the angels are going to announce my coming. And so we see all this stuff about the future, and it should cause us to do two things. The first thing is this: it should cause us to really think about how we want to share the gospel with our friends. Trinity, does this sound like a period of time that you would want to go through? No. But now what about your friends?
Never.
You wouldn't want your friends to go through this period. And so what should this cause us to do as Christians, those who know Jesus? Because we know that if we trust Jesus, we're not even going to have to experience this time. So what should that cause us to do?
Share the gospel.
Yeah, we should be motivated with urgency to share the gospel. Why? Because we don't want them to experience this. Our first motivation to share the gospel is not so that people don't experience suffering. I think it's so that they can experience what it's like to be in right relationship with God. But I believe a very valid secondary motivation for us would be that they would not have to experience this type of suffering. And so that should cause us to have some urgency. A second thing is this: that idea of the future, knowing that God holds the future, knowing that he can tell the future, knowing that he orchestrates the future, should give us some comfort in kind of crazy times. So, Trinity, you know how Dad likes to scare Mom?
Yes.
And does Mom like that?
No.
No, she doesn't like that at all. And Dad's even trained you and Justice and some of the other kids to scare her as well. And we really like jumping out and scaring her. And what makes it really scary is when you're hiding behind a door or a wall, they don't know you're there, so you startle them because you surprise them. Now, isn't it comforting to know that God has never been scared? He's never been surprised. He's never been startled because he knows what's behind every wall. He knows what's behind every day. He knows he's never been surprised. He's not going to be surprised with the stuff that we read about today. And he's also not surprised about what we're going through today. And so, although we may be surprised with the COVID-19 virus, and it might even cause us to have adjusted our schedule, now we've done some different things in our house, and we're actually enjoying spending time together and hanging out as a family. But this could be a really scary and surprising time for even people who know Jesus. But what we can do is we can trust in the one who's never been surprised. You see, we believe that even this virus has been under the control of God and still is under the control of God. And for whatever purpose and reason it's happening, it did not surprise God. And he has a plan for our good and his glory, and it's purposeful. And so we can trust him, knowing that he was not surprised. He's not surprised by this situation. So today our prayer is this as a family. Lord, as we are surprised in this season of life, Lord, help us to trust in the one who's never been surprised. Help us to lean into you and to seek peace and comfort from knowing that you are in control of all of these circumstances. That's our lesson today. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.